All right, so one of the things we're going to look at in section 3.3 is how to simplify and work with logarithms. We've got several properties that we make use of in order to simplify logarithms. So let's write down. Let's start with the first property, and then we'll show an example. Um, all right, so here's the property. It says if you have the log base a, so any base of m times n, you're taking the log of a product. You can rewrite that as the log base a of m plus the log base a of n. So that allows you to split it up. Now sometimes we'll start with this and expand it into this. But of course the property works the other way as well. If you have two logarithms that are added together, you can condense them down to something that looks like this. All right, so for instance, we might have something like this. If we have, say, log base 7 of x, y, z, we can rewrite it as log base 7 of x plus log base 7 of y plus log base 7 of z. We've expanded it into the sum of individual logarithms. And of course, it works the other way. If I gave you this, you could condense it down to this. All right. Okay, so let's talk about the next one. What if you have the log base a of m divided by n? Well, you can rewrite that as the log of m minus the log base a of n. All right. And so if you've got a fraction, you can rewrite it. Log base 3 of x, y over z. We're going to actually use both properties here. So it's going to be using this one we typically will refer to as our first property. This is the second property. So using the second property, it's just log base 3 of xy minus log base 3 of z, right? That was just simply using this property of division. So the log of the top minus the log of the bottom. But now we can use the first property and expand log base 3 of xy to be log base 3 of x plus log base 3 of y minus log base 3 of z. And there it is, completely expanded out. So you get a chance to combine these properties in a variety of ways. Finally, our last property is this. It says that if you have log base a of something raised to a power, you can rewrite it as this, as r times log base a of m. So that allows us to bring down exponents, and that's actually, I think I've got that written as property 2. We'll refer to that one usually as property 3. Okay, so that lets us deal with exponents. All right, so let's take a problem that might involve all of these. So log base 2 of x squared, all right, times x minus 3 cubed over 2x plus 1 to the fourth. And so if we want to expand that, it's going to look like this. Log base 2, we'll use the second property first, where we just have the log of the top minus the log of the bottom. All right. And now on this first logarithm, we can use property 1, which means log base 2 of x squared plus log base 2 of x minus 1 cubed. And then I'm going to go ahead and use property 3 on this last one and bring the exponent out in front. Now it's important to notice that this last one is now done. I cannot simplify that. I have no rules that deal with uh, expanding or working with the log of a sum of things. So that is where that's at. The last thing I can do is apply property 3 to these first two logs. Log 2 times log base 2 of x plus 3 times log base 2 of x minus 1, and then we still have this. And there it is, completely expanded out for us to use. Let's do one more. Expand is something like this. Log base, now I'm just going to write that. I'm just going to write log. And what you got to remember is when we write just log, we're talking log base 10. It's called the common log. All right. Now this one looks a little weird because we haven't seen a square root in it. But let me show you what we do. This is the same. You have to remember this, that when I take the square root of something, I could alternatively just write it as being to the 1/2 power. Right? Square root is the same as raising something to the 1/2 power. So if you see a square root in a log, very often you're going to want to do that. And then property 3 will let us bring that 1/2 out. Okay. Now we can keep expanding, but we're going to put all this in parentheses. It'll be log of x cubed plus log of y squared plus log of z to the 5th. And then finally using the third property again on each of these individual ones, 3 log of x plus 2 log of y plus 5 log of z. And there it is, completely expanded.